Hey everybody, welcome back to Yehusha's Glory. As promised, here are the definition sheets that I was going to run over with you. If you've listened to all the recordings of the full reading of the Book of Enoch, then this will help if you want to go back and listen. Or if some of those words, you didn't have time to look them up. I tried to look up the ones that really kind of surprised me that I wasn't really used to. I thought maybe that would help you all. Let's just go ahead and run through them. If you want to write them down as you go for it. Maybe you'll be able to screen save these as I go. Maybe I'll try to scroll down 4 or 5 at a time. Let's start with the first word, elect. And he talks about the elect, and all that means is it's some of his children who are chosen for a particular job. That's all that means. It doesn't mean they're better than anybody. It just means that he's chosen them to do something in particular. So, like an elected official. Okay? Elohim, now that you'll hear read out a lot, and that refers to fathers, powerful magistrates, and it's also the plural for his angels. Clemency, of course, that's mercy for a guilty criminal, and he uses it in such a way that he says that the elect and his Kodeshayim, or his children, or his followers, he will grant them clemency. That doesn't mean that we are super righteous, or anyone he agrees to allow into the kingdom of heaven for eternity is better than anyone. It simply means he's giving mercy to what is essentially a guilty criminal, which is what we all are. We are guilty criminals. So he offers clemency. Okay, illuminate, that is to light something up, literally with a light, or to glow, or to explain it. Kodeshayim, I gathered there that means what he calls Father's children, that will be forgiven and saved, and that will surround him for eternity. It was mentioned that he is surrounded by his Kodeshim, and it also mentioned in the book of Enoch, as you listen through, that some of the wicked people parade themselves or disguise themselves and run around and try to act like the Kodeshayim. So I think that just means, folks that are playing like they're good when deep down inside maybe they have wicked hearts. Okay, I'll scroll up for a few more here. Of course, we all probably know the word carnal. I'm just going to say it anyway. Carnal means relating to physical desires that the flesh body experiences. Transgressing, that means to transgress. You're breaking a law or moral rule. Invariable, never changing, always stays the same, as in never varies. A lot of the things like the sun, the moon, and the stars, their movements, the way the wind comes in and out, is described in Enoch as being invariable. They can't change. They're locked in to do it a certain way, the way Father tells them to. Here's a word that I'm not really used to, although I've always known that leaves fall off the trees in the fall. It's only the deciduous trees that do so. So that's what deciduous is in this situation. They are the ones that lose their leaves in the fall. The word subservient, we probably all know, but if not, it's simply when somebody considers your wishes, like if you would consider your own wishes less important than that of someone else, you are being subservient to them. You're putting them before you. We should all be subservient to Father's wishes. We should follow his laws, even if it hurts, and even if it goes against man's law. But anyway, that's what the word means. Respective operations. Early on, Azazel, or Satan, is talking to the fallen angels, and they all have particular jobs, and I'm not sure if this is exactly when that's mentioned, but respective operations relates to or belongs to each person mentioned. In other words, what they're supposed to be doing. Here's a word I've never heard in my whole life. Calumniate. Calumniate. Now that word means a false statement to damage someone's reputation. Malignant is tissue growing and causing death of the whole body. And that can be used spiritually, that within a group of people, a malignancy can grow, which could be false doctrine, which could cause the death or the spiritual death of the whole body of the people. And so a lot of times you'll probably see the word malignant used that way spiritually. Now here's one that I'd never heard of either, execration. And I've put up perpetual execration, and I've also put up execration. Execration, the second one down here, means feeling or to show hatred towards someone or something. And the way it's used in Enoch, they were talking about the perpetual or the ongoing, the continuing perpetual execrations, ongoing feelings or showing of hatred toward someone or something. He was talking about the perpetual execrations of our Father by the fallen angels. So they had this ongoing hatred for him, which is what that means. Maledictions, I wouldn't have known what this meant. My vocabulary is kind of weak, but here it is. Maledictions, these are words that are used. They're intended to bring bad luck to someone, or they're words that express the hope that someone will have bad luck. If I'm reading this correctly, it could be the words of somebody cursing someone else, maybe a curse, something like that. Now here's one that makes me really want to vomit. Impiety. And I shouldn't say it that way, but it really makes me sick when I run into people who are impious. I've never used that word in my life, impious. But impiety means lack of respect for our Heavenly Father. I just don't know how anyone can do that. And evidently you can't either, or you wouldn't be here. And so he appreciates that, I'm sure. Anyway, indignation. Anger about unfairness or wrongness. And I think the first time I ever heard that word used, it was actually Pastor Murray of the Shepherd's Chapel. And he had used righteous indignation. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. But he's right. Indignation means you get angry about an unfairness or a wrongness. Okay, it talks about the fallen angels making children with women. So it uses the word multiplied in the sense that they had kids or they procreated. That's what they call it. They use the name watchers to describe the angels. They said that the fallen angels were enamored with the human women, and that just means liking a lot. And then the offspring or children of someone, they use the word progeny, or the progeny of the fallen angels were the giants, so to speak, for instance. And then the word beget is a word that means to be the father of. And a lot of times in the past tense they'll say, and this man begat this person's name, who begat this person's name, and it goes on and on and on, generation after generation, to allow you to see the bloodline of the people that are in that particular family group. Satan here is talking on this next one to the fallen angels right before they decide to go down and try to impregnate women. Satan says he's afraid that the fallen angels won't follow through on their promise to do this crime, because he says he's afraid they'll suddenly be, quote, indisposed to the performance of this enterprise. You know what that means is they'll be ill, especially in a way that makes them unable to do something in particular. So he thinks they're going to say, yeah, let's go down and ruin Father's creation and then spoil it and make it polluted. And then he thinks at the very end, when he gets ready to do it, they're going to pull away and say, no, we're not going to do that. If you listen to the conversation they all have, they all took an oath. And they swore that they would go ahead and go through with everything. So anyway, the next word is grievous. That just means having serious effects or causing great pain. Crime, of course, is action that is against the law. Mutual execrations. Of course, we talked about execrating or execration. that execrations was showing or feeling of hatred towards the Father, our Father. Well, mutual execrations, meaning they together engaged in that hateful feeling or showing of hatred. Okay, he uses the word prefects, and that simply means a very important official in government or in a police force, such as a captain. And a few times they mention the captains that are in charge of this particular knowledge, or in charge of this particular part of the heavens, or in this particular motion of the stars, moon, sun. And so prefects would be those particular persons or angels in charge of those things. Now this could be people on earth, of course, too. The word cohabited is used in reference to the fallen angels and women. Cohabited means that they are unmarried, they are living together and engaging in a sexual relationship. The next word is conceiving, which is to become pregnant or cause a baby to begin to form. Giants, these are a person who is extremely large and strong. Biblical giants are described as 300 cubits, and a cubit is the equivalent of 18 inches, or 1.5 feet. So that's 450 feet tall. So when we watch these cutesy cartoons about a giant, and they look like they're 13 feet tall, or they even look 50 feet tall, or even 100 feet tall, that's not even close. These giants were 450 feet tall. Okay, in there it says that the angels, in Enoch it says the angels begat, or were the father of, they begat the giants. And then it says the giants begat the Nephilim. Now Nephilim is the offspring or children of the giants. And then the Nephilim begat with the Eliud, or the Eliud are the offspring or children of the Nephilim. So if you're wondering where Nephilim falls in, it's not the fallen angels. There's the fallen angels, then there's the Nephilim, who's 450 feet tall, and then you've got the offspring of them, rather the giants, and then the Nephilim, and then the Eliud, in respective order. Moving on, stature, reputation, and importance based on admirable qualities or achievements. And then 300 cubits, and this is verified with that tallness, that height. It's the height of a giant according to Enoch. And the cubit is verified in the book of Ezekiel as being the equivalent of 1.5 feet or 1.5 feet or 18 inches, which we get by adding half a foot, which is 6 inches, to a foot, which is 12 inches, making 18 inches. They use the word reproved. I never heard that word in my life. Reproving something, or reproved, to reprove someone, means to tell someone you disapprove of their bad behavior. Deprived, I think we all know what deprived means, but I'm going to say it just in case. Lacking something that is needed to live like most people, or the basic needs are not being met. Sanctified means to make holy. Glorified means to praise or honor, but it also means you can be glorifying, which means you're overdoing it when it's not entirely true. Then there's the word disclosed, which is what the fallen angels did. They disclosed information to man that they were not supposed to. It means to give information to the public that was previously unknown. They use the word lain, L-A-I-N. It means to lay down with or have sexual intercourse. And then polluted, which is what they did. They polluted themselves. The fallen angels polluted themselves with human women by leaving their place in heaven. That just means to make themselves dirty or unclean, not the way Father intended them. Speaking of Father, we have El Elyon, and you'll see that written in there quite a bit. That simply means the great and holy one, and all grace and all manner of praise to him. Consummation, that word's used, making a marriage or relationship complete by having sex. So he talks about the angels, the fallen angels, consummating relationships with human women. He refers to the word deluge. It's going to be a deluge of water. He's actually foretelling to Noah, of Noah's existence, and that all of the evil is going to be washed off the earth by being drowned. But it means, a deluge is a large volume of something that is absolutely unmanageable. They use the word seed in this book as the offspring or ascendants of someone. So when they talk about the seed of the fallen angels, they're talking about the giants. When they talk about the seed of the giants, they're talking about the Nephilim. And when they talk about the seed of the Nephilim, they're talking about the Eliud. Here's a word I've never heard in my life. Reprobates. It's a person of bad character or habits. So they refer to people as reprobates there, and they refer to the fallen angels as reprobates. In the end there, he talks about how, in the end of the giants' lives, Father talks about how he's going to excite them against each other. That just means he's going to make the giants perish. He's going to make them perish or die by making them slaughter each other. He's going to get them after each other in a physical way so that they kill each other. Then the word rectitude means honesty and correct moral behavior. Benediction means prayer, asking for Father's help and protection. Satiety means being full and satisfied. Equity means equal treatment and fairness. And then lament is to mean to express sadness or regret. And he says that the fallen angels will lament all their days until judgment. Petition is when a large number of people ask Father for something. In this case, they're asking, all of the fallen angels are petitioning for clemency, but they're not going to get it. Supplication, humbly asking Father for something. Now, ruachat, I've never really understood that word, but ruachat simply is the spirit of something. They use it a few times as the ruachat of the elect, which would be certain people who are being called upon to do a particular job for Father. Their spirit. And then there's a place for them in heaven, it talks about. And there's a place for the ruachat of the giants. There's a spirit for those giants, and they're bound to the earth, it says. And so ruachat simply means the spirit of something. And I think later on in the 4th, 5th, or 6th reading, Book of Enoch reading, ruachat is actually used to describe the ruachat of, I think, the grass and the dew. Rather earthly things like grass and dew, so water. So everything has its own particular spirit, or I'm not exactly sure, but it's used in many different ways. Simply means the essence of something, the actual spirit of it. Okay, and the word entreaty is used where the fallen angels ask Enoch to entreaty for them, or attempt to persuade someone to do something. Of course, they're looking for forgiveness. And then Cepher is simply a message. Effulgent, never heard of that word. Shining brightly, or looking very beautiful, or full of goodness. Effulgent. And then terrestrial, that just is relating to planet Earth, or living on land rather than in the sea or air. So and then we've got one more. Manifested. Just means it's easily noticed or obvious. Okay, there you have it. So I wanted to do those definitions for you to save you some time and trouble. And I hope that helped. I don't know if I'm going to do a recap, like I said I was going to, as far as a summary. I think that Father wants you to listen to the readings, I would say, and he wants you to get your understanding the way you want it. I gave you exactly the words in the book. I read them word for word. And now I want you to ask Father for understanding. I'm not going to tell you everything that it means. I don't think I'm going to summarize that. I think it's only fair that he should have that direct relationship with you. And now I step aside and let you get closer to him, and you can figure out what he wants you to know. Anyway, these definitions hopefully helped you. I surely have felt pleased by being able to bring this to you. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done to start doing this sort of thing here on YouTube. I appreciate that any of you, if one person gets something out of this, tell you what, it's really made my day. It's made every day worthwhile. So subscribe or like, do whatever you do normally to support a channel. I have to ask you to do that, please. And I'm going to continue to try to bring more books to you. And hopefully hopefully I'll get better and better at this, and my reading will be able to bring some more life to it as we read it. It'll mean more and more as we go. So anyway, Father bless all of you and protect you. If you have any questions, please type them in to the bottom comments there. I'll try to look through them, and if I have some comments, I'll try to answer them. And if you have any questions, I'll try to collect a few of those questions, and maybe I'll do a video and just answer those questions as much as possible. I do like to turn people over to watch Pastor Dennis Murray and Pastor Arnold Murray, who passed away. The most clear Bible teachers I think I've ever watched. And I can't tell you enough how succinct they are at sharing the Word of God. Father, rather. Just want to share that with you. So anyhow, they are the people who allowed me to learn, and I just want you to know about them if you've never heard of them. So anyhow, Father bless you. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you and see you next time. This is Yehusha's Glory.